Uh, Assalamu alaikum, dear students.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Walaikum assalam, sir.
Yeah. We are starting our discussion related to multi-threading. Maybe wait for 2 more minutes so that more students can join us. Okay, so we are going to start. First, I will answer questions which are available on the forum, and then we will open for more questions. So we start with the question number 1 that has come from Hatsa. She says, "Sir, I did not understand the concept of a separate path for execution. I did not get how threads are taking separate path. Moreover, the concept of thread priority. I do not understand. Even I read the book. See, Hatsa, you need to understand when I say a thread, a separate path of execution, we mean that uh, Java program will actually make multiple sub processes, multiple parts of the program, and those parts of the program will run concurrently. They will run in parallel, and each sub process which is running concurrently simultaneously in parallel, it is called a thread. A thread, or we can say the execution path. As I have been giving a couple of examples in my video lectures, say for example, you say that you will be downloading a file of, say for example, 50 giga from internet, and then you will start processing on that 50 giga file. Now you know that the 50 giga file will take a lot of time. Now you have got two options. One option is to process in serial, which is to complete the download of that 50 gigabyte first and then started processing on that file. Obviously, the serial execution will take a lot of time. But if you take multi-threading concept in action, it means that while that first giga has been downloaded, you start processing on the already downloaded data, and then you just do not wait for complete download, which means that there are two separate threads. One thread which is downloading data, and another thread which is processing on the already downloaded data. आई गेव यू वन एग्जांपल. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आपका काम ये है कि भाई 50 गीगा की डेटा को डाउनलोड करें और उस डेटा में काउंट करें कि टोटल कितने वॉवल्स हैं. अब अगर आप ये बिना मल्टी थ्रेडिंग के करेंगे तो आप ये कर सकते हैं कि ठीक है, पहले 50 गीगा की डेटा डाउनलोड हो जाए, उसके बाद मैं काउंट करूंगा कि कितने जो है ना इसमें अंदर वॉवल्स हैं. अब जाहिर है वो डाउनलोड होती रही है 50 गीगाबाइट में भी, 1 घंटा ले 2 घंटा ले, उसके बाद आप काउंट करना शुरू करेंगे कि इसके अंदर वॉवल्स कितने हैं. लेकिन जाहिर है ये अप्रोच है सीरियल, कि पहले एक काम हो जाए फिर दूसरा फिर तीसरा फिर चौथा. लेकिन मल्टी थ्रेडिंग कहती है कि नहीं, ये नहीं करना चाहिए. अगर आप ये करेंगे तो यू विल बी टेकिंग लॉट ऑफ टाइम. इन दैट केस जैसे ही पहला समझिए कि 1 KB डाउनलोड हो जाए, पहला 10 KB डाउनलोड हो जाए, आप अपना दूसरा थ्रेड चला दें. तो दूसरे थ्रेड का काम है जो ऑलरेडी डाउनलोडेड डेटा है उसमें से वॉवल्स को काउंट करना है, तो वो अपना काम शुरू कर ले. इट मीन्स कि अब आप दो काम एक साथ कर रहे हैं, एक काम जो डाउनलोड हो रहा है और दूसरा काम जो कि वॉवल्स को काउंट कर रहे हैं. तो डेफिनेटली जब आप मल्टीपल टास्क एक ही टाइम पे कर रहे हैं तो इसका एडवांटेज ये कि ओवरऑल एग्जीक्यूशन आपकी जो है वो काफ़ी फास्ट होगी. देखें, जब हमारे पास ये मल्टीपल कोर वाले प्रोसेसर नहीं थे, तब इनफैक्ट वो जो मल्टी थ्रेडिंग है ना, वो मल्टी थ्रेडिंग थी नहीं. इट वाज जस्ट इन आवर अंडरस्टैंडिंग वो बेसिकली सीपीयू का टाइम ही शेयर हो रहा था कि भाई सीपीयू थोड़ा टाइम देता था डाउनलोडिंग को, फिर थोड़ा टाइम प्रोसेसिंग को, फिर थोड़ा टाइम डाउनलोडिंग को, फिर थोड़ा टाइम प्रोसेसिंग को. तो वो एज सच इफ यू गो टू द फिजिकल लेवल वो मल्टी थ्रेडिंग नहीं थी, वो एक ही प्रोसेसर था जो कि समझिए कि टाइम शेयरिंग हो रही थी. लेकिन अब हमारे पास ये जब आप बोलते हैं ना कोर i5, आप बोलते हैं कोर i7, इट मींस यू हैव गॉट मल्टीपल प्रोसेसिंग यूनिट्स इनसाइड योर मशीन, व्हिच मींस दैट अब रियल सेंस में मल्टी थ्रेडिंग हो रही होती है. माना अब हो सकता है कि आप कोर i7 का जो एक कोर है वो डाउनलोडिंग के ऊपर लगा हुआ है, दूसरा कोर आपका वॉवल काउंट के ऊपर लगा हुआ है. तो नाउ वी रियली these days these machines are very much capable of performing multi threading. So you need to understand कि जब मैं कहता हूँ सेपरेट पाथ ऑफ एग्जीक्यूशन, आई मीन अ सेपरेट थ्रेड, एक अलग से थ्रेड जो कि अपना काम कंप्लीट कर रहा है. आगे आपने पूछा है कि प्रायोरिटीज क्या है. देखें बेटा, हर मशीन पे आपको ज़ाहिर ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम तो चाहिए. लिनक्स है, यूनिक्स है, विंडोज है, उबंटू है, लॉट ऑफ ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम्स आर अवेलेबल, एंड्रॉइड है. अच्छा, ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम जो 70s 80s में थे, जैसे कि डिस्क ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम, वो थे सिंगल थ्रेडेड, सिंगल प्रोसेस, वो एक ही काम करते थे. लेकिन अब जो हमारे जो समझिए कि ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम है वो मल्टी थ्रेडेड है, वो एक ही टाइम पे मल्टीपल काम कर रहे होते हैं. राइट. अच्छा, अब क्योंकि वो एक ही टाइम पे मल्टीपल काम कर रहे होते हैं, आकिल इज देयर. ओके, now because we have got all these operating system which are multitasking, they can perform multiple tasks at a time, which means we need a mechanism so that CPU time can be shared. Right. Now usually operating system are either preemptive or non-preemptive. When I say preemptive, I mean that some thread which is running, there is a mechanism in the operating system that the running thread can leave the process and give chance to other processes to execute. This is called the preemptive, scheduling, or we can say preemptive sharing of the CPU time. Now, when there is a preemptive scheduling, it means that priorities are given some consideration. For example, if one thread is operating and its priority is 2, and if another thread becomes ready and its priority is 5, and the thread whose priority is 2 is in the middle of its execution, the preemptive scheduling operating system will say, okay, you, the thread with priority 2, please stop running because I have got a high priority thread which I need to execute. It is just like we have an emergency case in the hospital. I mean, you have got only one doctor. Doctor is dealing a patient which is not very much critical. So at that time, you as a manager of the hospital, you will say to the doctor that please stop treating this guy. He is not going to die. The new guy who has just come in, he is critical. So please give him some time. It means the new guy who is an emergency, he has got a higher priority. So when preemptive scheduling is there in the operating system, on that priorities have got some importance. On that operating system, high priority thread will always kind of relinquish the process from low priority thread. But then there are operating systems which are not preemptive. And if your operating system is not preemptive, then thread priority simply does not matter. You may set thread priority 10, and when your thread becomes ready for execution, if another thread with priority 2 is running, non-preemptive operating system says sorry, because this thread is already running. This is my rule is first come first serve. So although you have got priority 10, but I will still complete the execution of this thread whose priority is 2. So in non-preemptive scheduling, when operating system is following this non-preemptive scheduling mechanism, their priorities really do not matter. So you need to understand that when you set priority high, that does not guarantee that your high priority thread will execute. Not at all. The reason is you don't know if operating system is preemptive or non-preemptive. If the operating system is preemptive, then that operating system will, kind of give honor to the priority. Otherwise, operating system will not give a lot of importance to the priorities. You need to understand, you need to read operating system to find out which of the operating systems are preemptive and which of the operating systems are non-preemptive. And to be very honest, in modern age, almost all the operating systems are preemptive. They do consider the priority of the threads. Right. Okay. Harsa, did you get the idea? Are you there? Harsa, are you there? Okay. We move to the next question. The next question is from Syed Muhammad Ahmad. He says, I have the following two queries. How can we invoke our thread class method on thread array? Thread T equal to new bank account T. Is this declaration for creating reference to the thread is correct? Absolutely correct. Ahmad, you need to understand that thread is nothing but object of Java, object of a class in Java, right? So if say for example, you have made this arrangement where you say, here I'm considering this has to be a class. This has to be a class. So for example, I have created a thread, my thread, and then you say T equal to new my thread, and then you pass it value of 1000, right? Now, if you want to invoke a method on any array, you need to pass the index. So you will say T at 0 dot start. It means you are starting the thread. Or maybe you can write T at 90, T at 90 dot, say for example, set priority, priority value ranges from 1 to 10. So you say 3. So you can do that, right? So if you are creating an array of thread, yes, you can do it. In that case, this will be name of the class which actually implements runnable or which extends from thread class, right? And then this is how you indicate that T is not an ordinary variable, T is an array. And then new, is the keyword, and then my thread, which is the name of the class, and then how many threads you want to create, that has to be written here. In this case, you say 1000. And on each of the thread, you need to pass index number and then call the appropriate method the way I've done it here, right? But I think there will be very rare situation where you will be creating these many threads of same class. When I'm invoking methods on this array, it shows a null pointer exception. How to tackle this? I don't know. If you can send me the code, I can check it. But one thing which I see here, this is bank account, and here you have written thread. So I think you will have to write here bank account. And more importantly, when you call a method, you have to make sure that thread is started. because you cannot call other methods on thread if that is not started. For example, you cannot stop it, you cannot suspend it, because you know, in order a thread to be executed, it has to be in start stage. To be honest, the concept of multi-threading is still ambiguous to me, even after reading book, probably because example provided in the book and lab tasks are seen to be completely parallel. Please explain multi-threading by using some practical examples, preferable using an example from lab. Ahmed, I strongly recommend, if the examples which you have seen in the book are not sufficient, then you can refer multi-threading from beginning Java book. And honestly speaking, in practice, when we will be doing networking, when we'll be doing circuit programming, at that stage I will be doing many examples which would be requiring multi-threading. But again, I think you should give yourself more time to do reading, not only from complete reference, but also from thinking in Java, or maybe from beginning Java from Ivar Horton. Read more to grasp these concepts. Uh, you are right. I mean, understanding multi-threading concept is not very straightforward the way we had some other topics. This really requires a lot of practice and a lot of reading. Okay. Then there, when you are, oh, okay. Then the question, next question is again from Mohammed Hassan. Hassan says, sir, why do we really have two approaches of creating thread, like implementing runnable or extending from thread? And in which situation we should go for runnable and thread class? I think answer has been given by Shweb. Shweb says, where when you are using extend method, you cannot extend the other class except thread, because Java does not support multiple inheritance. But when you are using runnable interface method, you can call any class. Another difference is when you are using extend thread class, each thread class creates a unique object which uses more memory. However, in other method, multiple threads share the same object that require less memory. That is why the most preferable method is implementing runnable interface. The second part, I really do not buy, I do not understand. But your first answer, first part is very right. Shiv, thank you for answering this question. I mean, Java does not allow multiple threading. Java says if you are inheriting from one class, then you cannot inherit from another class. So multiple inheritance is simply not allowed in Java. So if you are already planning to have your class to become subclass of another class, then you are already, you know, exhausted with the parent class, because there can be only one parent to your class, which means that you cannot extend your class from thread class to become a thread. In that case, you've got only one opportunity, one option, which is to implement the runnable interface. So you will always go for runnable interface, I mean the implementation option, if you already have another base class. But if you do not have any base class, then you probably will go for inheritance option, that is to extend your class from thread class to become a thread. Why method like wait, notify are not present in thread class, but they are in object class? Very good question, excellent question. See, Shweb, this wait, notify and notify all, these are actually not thread related methods. You can also use those methods on the other objects which really are not threads, right? And they are also there because if you do not keep them inside object class, you cannot use them in default thread. You know that when you run main program, it is by default a thread. We call it main thread. The name of the thread is main thread, right? Now, because your class, if you have not extended it from thread, then you cannot call wait method and notify all method from the main thread, which is by default a thread. You are not extending from the thread class. Now, if these methods are not available in object class, then in main thread, which is actually not a thread which you have created, the main thread in which you have got main method, which is not extending from thread class, if you want to wait, if you want to make sure that your main thread is waiting, then you cannot call wait method because wait method is in thread class. But if it is in object class, we can call it, right? Say for example, see here. Okay, no thread. If I am here, I say class my demo, right? Now inside this demo, if I say public static void main string string arg, right? Now, if you are here, I can call wait method here, right? Why I am able to call the wait method? Uh, Number one, why would I need to call wait method? I might need to call wait method to make sure that my current thread, which is actually the thread in which I got main method, I want to make sure that it waits for some time, maybe for 5 minutes, that download completes. There, if you want to call wait method, you can do it, right? Because my demo is extending from objects, right? I have not written here extends thread. I haven't written here extends thread, but I still can call wait method inside main method. Why? Because my wait method is coming from object class. Now, because it is coming from object class, so I can call this wait notify all, even in those methods, even in those classes which are not inherited from thread. And there would be situation when you would be needing to call wait method even in those classes which are not extending from thread. For example, this main thread, right? You will encounter in some situation where you would like your program to pause its execution. And if you want that, you need wait method. And wait method is by default available to you because it is coming from java.lang.object, which is obviously the base class for all the classes. So for that reason, I mean, in order to make these methods available in non-thread classes, they have kept wait notify all inside java.lang.object class. What is different between process and a program? Sure. Remember one thing, program is actually complete unit, right? Like LMS, which is presently running, it is one program. Like Zoom, which is presently running, it is one program. Like, you know, on the taskbar, my timer is running, it is one program, right? Uh, and in order to run one program, we need one process, right? So one process will run one program. So you can say program is equivalent to the process. So when you say multi-processing, it means multiple programs are running concurrently. Presently on my screen, on my laptop, you can see multiple programs are running, right? But inside multiple programs, inside one program, for example, if I talk about this Zoom, inside Zoom, presently multiple sub-processes are running, multiple threads are running. One thread is running, which is actually, you know, recording this video. Another thread is running, which is managing, you know, this chat option, huh? And another thread is running, which is actually recording your video and keeping it on my machine. So you can see inside Zoom program, there are multiple sub-programs which are performing sub-tasks. And you know, it's a very classical example of multi-threading in Zoom. If inside Zoom you do not have multi-threading, then you know it is not possible to record video, to record audio, to record overall recording of the session, and then also managing the chat. So when you've got a sub-program inside a program, it's a thread. When you've got multiple independent programs when they are running, this is a process. So multi-processing means multiple programs are running, and multi-threading means multiple jobs are running inside same program. So inside Zoom, your chat is being managed by one thread, your video is being managed by another thread, your audio is being managed by another thread. So you can see Zoom is a program, and in this program we have got multiple threads. So Zoom is a kind of multi-thread application, right? But when you have got multiple programs running independently, you call them multi-programming, or you can call it multi-processing. I do not grasp the concept of wait and sleep. please revise it. See,
सर
yes.
सर जो ये आपने वेट और नोटी सर जो आपने वेट वाला मेथड समझाया ना वो समझ नहीं आया.
बेटा थोड़ा अगर अपना क्वेश्चन रिपीट करें. आई थिंक आई हैव सम इशू विद माय. ओके, कैन यू रिपीट कंचन?
सर जो शोएब का क्वेश्चन था ऊपर वाला वाई मेथड लाइक वेट हम थर्ड क्लास में यूज नहीं कर सकते और मेन क्लास में हम यूज कर सकते हैं. जो आपने वो बताया वो समझ नहीं आया.
Okay, you mean the wait method, which I said why it is in the object class, you do not understand it, right?
यस सर.
Okay, remember one thing, this wait, notify and notify all. These are the three methods which you need in classes which may not be traced, right? In future, you will encounter some of the programming situations where you would like your current program to pause for a moment. You would like your current program to pause for a moment. There must be some reason, right? You might wait for download to complete. You might wait for some of your colleagues to complete writing inside a file which you are sharing with each other. So there will be situation in which even your program will not be multi-threaded, but you need to suspend execution of your program. At that stage, you can use wait method, right? Now, when you are using wait method, someone has to notify you that this task has been performed. You can come out of the wait state and you can execute again. Now, because these wait, notify all methods, they are even required in the classes which are not threads. So that is the reason why these three methods have been kept inside java.lang.object. So you may or may not be using multi-threading, but you still need to suspend execution of your program. You need wait method. So that is the reason why wait method is inside java.lang.object. So in this simple example, I can call wait method inside my demo. Why I can call? Because my demo is extended from java.lang.object. Right. Now, because it is extended from java.lang.object, so I can call wait method. But say for example, if wait method is not available in java.lang.object, if it is available in java.lang.thread, then I inevitably had to do thing like this. Right. I have to make my program as a thread. So obviously it would have a kind of added extra overhead in my program. So these methods, these three, wait, notify all, they are quite generic. They are quite general purpose methods. You will be needing them even in non-thread situation. So that is the reason why they have kept it inside java.lang.object rather than java.lang.thread. We'll encounter situations where you will see the use of these methods in classes which are not threads, right? Especially when we'll be doing a networking chapter. Got the idea, Kanchan?
Yes sir.
Okay, thank you. I do not get the concept of wait and sleep. Please revise what I have already revised. Sir, could you please, what is a monitor and synchronize with threads? See, Akil, the monitor is a kind of concept from operating system. They say monitor is just like a box, right? I have got a box here, so we can say monitor is nothing but just a box, right? So it's a box, and when a process goes inside that box, and then no other process can go inside that box. Only one process can go inside that box. That is called the monitor, right? Now, why we need concept of monitor? Because sometimes multiple threads which are accessing same resource, they might corrupt resource. So say for example, this box is a file. This box is a file. Now, if one processor like this one is, say for example, is going to produce something, and then if it is producing something, it has to go inside the box. Now the producer is sitting inside the box, and then I've got a consumer, right? This monitor says if someone is already sitting inside the box, then no other process can go inside the box, right? Unless this producer comes out, and then this consumer, which is another thread, he can enter into the box, right? But if both of them go together inside the box, they might corrupt the data. One example I have already given you in my video lecture, which is about producer and consumer producing a number in the queue and consuming a number from the queue. Now, if you do not have monitor, then you might miss some of the values from the queue, or you might consume some of the value multiple times from the queue. But if you introduce the concept of monitor, then this type of corruption will not take place. Remember, in Java, there is no separate class for monitor. Monitor is a kind of concept which is implicit in Java. They say in Java, all the objects are monitor. All the objects are monitor. By default, they are monitor. You don't need to make them monitor. By default, all the objects which are actually resources, they are monitor. Now, at one time, there can be multiple methods. They can access the synchronized, they can access the monitor. But if one synchronized method is accessing monitor, then calling that synchronized method from another object will not be possible. So this concept of monitor has been introduced to implement synchronization, and you synchronize threads so that the access of resource is actually not corrupting any data. So if your producer is running, then consumer should not run, because when producer completes its execution, then consumer should come and consume the data. And if consumer is consuming previously produced data, then producer should not be allowed to produce more data. It is just like you cannot perform a debit transaction if credit has not been done. It is just like, say for example, from one end, I have given a check to my friend and I say, go and credit this amount into my account, and then same time I go to the ATM and then withdraw money. Now, because my account is very much like a monitor, unless this credit transaction can be performed, I cannot perform debit. Right? I can perform debit only if credit has been made. If credit has not been made, I cannot perform debit. But if, say for example, this synchronization is not done, the guy has not credited money, and I am immediately going to perform the debit transaction. So maybe my balance might go to negative. So obviously, in this type of situation, you need to synchronize credit transaction with debit transaction. If that synchronization is not done in the banks, you can imagine what will happen to the money which is inside the bank. So it is important to consider that all these resources, all these objects are actually monitors. When one synchronized method is already inside a monitor, another synchronized method cannot enter into the monitor. Right. Sir, what is difference between sleep and wait? I'm coming to that. Sir, please थोड़ा बहुत उर्दू में भी explain कर दिया करें. Arslan, I cannot do it because we have to respect Akil. Point number one. Point number two, our official communication medium is English. हो गया 8:30 बजे हो ये I don't know whom he is responding. Anyway, so sir, could you please explain monitor? Okay, we have already explained it. Sir, could you please clarify the difference between what is monitor and synchronized threads? Monitor is actually an example of the box. All the objects are monitor, and inside the monitor only one thread can call the synchronized method. If a synchronized method is already called on one thread, another thread cannot call it. Right. I've already given an example in my video lecture, so please watch them again. And Akil, you also asked difference between wait and sleep. Remember, when you sleep, you actually pass some amount of time for which sleep will take place, and sleep will automatically come into the start state when that sleep time expires. If you are sleeping for 1000 milliseconds, after 1000 milliseconds, your thread will automatically come back into the start state. Remember, this is very important. The point that I'm going to tell you now, when you call start method on your thread, you actually enter into start state. You do not directly execute, you do not directly run, because you will take a transition from start state to run state only when CPU have got time for your thread. You need to understand that as a programmer, we can only start thread. When we start thread, it goes in start state. Start state is a state when we say that thread is ready to be executed, but it is waiting for CPU time. And when CPU time is available, when CPU gives a time to your thread, then thread moves from start state to the running state. Right. So when I'm saying that thread is sleeping for 1000 milliseconds, it means as soon as 1000 milliseconds expire, your thread will again come back to the start state. When it will execute, it depends on when CPU is going to give it time. Right. So the movement from start to run state, it depends on when CPU is going to give you time. But as soon as your sleep time expires, it will automatically come back into the start state. But if you talk about wait method, then if you say, for example, have called a wait method on your thread, then it will not come back into start state unless someone else has notified it. Unless someone else has notified it. Remember this thing, wait might be for indefinite period, because if say for example my thread is waiting for some of the state to meet, then some other thread will have to notify me so that I can come back from waiting state to start state. So wait will be indefinite. Wait will depend on the notifier. You cannot come back from waiting state to start state unless someone has called notify method on the thread which is actually in the waiting state. So wait will depend on notify method, and sleep will depend on the expiry of that time. And we usually have this wait and notify for efficient inter-thread communication. I have given one example in my video lecture in which one producer, one consumer. So when producer is producing something, it has kept consumer in the wait, right? And when producer produces, then it notifies so that consumer can also execute. It consumes, and when consumer is consuming, it has actually kept the producer on the wait, right? So you know that if you want efficient inter-thread communication, then if I am producing, then I will keep myself in the wait state when I complete producing, right? I keep myself in the wait state because I say that I have produced something. Now I am waiting for consumer to consume that value and then inform me so that I can produce new thing. So when consumer comes in, consumer says, okay, I'm consuming. At that time, producer is waiting. So I will consume, and then I notify to the producer that I have consumed. You can now produce more things. But before notifying producer, I as a consumer will go into the wait state, right? So in this case, consumer is pushing itself in the wait state, and producer will notify. Then producer is pushing itself in the wait state, and consumer will notify. And we are doing it because we want efficient inter-thread communication. And efficient inter-thread communication is required in order to implement proper synchronization. Because if threads are running concurrently, they need synchronization. If you do not have synchronization among threads, then you are always in danger of data corruption. As I told you one example, producer might be too fast to produce many values which consumer might miss. Our consumer is too fast to consume same value for multiple time because your producer is quite slow. But if both of them can make a protocol that I will produce and then wait, and he said I will consume, inform you, and then I will wait, right? So then their communication can be very efficient, and we will not lose any data. I have given this example in my video lecture. Okay, Faizan, Abdurrahman, what you people are discussing? Can I help you हो जाएगा आज 10:30 बजे हो जाएगा. What is that? Huh? Abdurrahman? Okay, then the next question from Akil sir, could you please explain monitor? Okay, we have already explained. My question is on synchronized block. In the example, you made the block inside the run method. Is block always inside the run method, or we can try it in other method? Hatsa, remember one thing. Whatever you want your thread to do, it will always be inside run method. ये बात ध्यान में रख लें कि थ्रेड का जो भी काम है वो करेगा रन मेथड के अंदर. Yes, run method can call other methods, and you can have a synchronized block inside other methods, but those other methods will not be called when your thread is running. You will have to call them from within run method, right? So when you are doing multi-threading, then all the logic that a thread has to perform, it has to go inside run method. Yes, run method can call other methods. You can have synchronized block in other method, but that those other methods has to be called from run method. It is not that you separately call those on the thread. You cannot do that. You can call them, but they will not act like multi-threaded. So any business logic that you want a thread to perform, it has to go inside the run method. So run method is like, you know, a kind of a very integral component of a thread, a kind of oxygen of a thread. A thread come into being when its run method executes, and a thread dies when its run method completes its execution. Right. Okay, sir, kindly briefly describe the concept of inter-thread communication. I did not understand actually issue caused by communication. What is the practical use of it? I think I have already explained it. The inter-thread communication, that you usually have a wait and notify. Right. I mean, from the practical life, the example of credit and debit transaction is very important. You have got two guys, one guy which is sitting on the credit in the account, and another guy who is sitting on the debit on the account. So this guy will say, wait until I perform credit transaction, you cannot do debit. So when he performs a credit at that time, you know, this guy is waiting, the debit is waiting, right? So when he performs the credit, then this guy comes into action, he will perform debit, and when he is debiting, the credit is actually waiting, right? And it's not only in the banking application, but in almost all routine work of the life, we need to perform synchronization. You take an example of your home, you will see many tasks which are interdependent. For example, say for example, you are you're trying to start your dinner, right? Now, you as a thread want to eat, but you cannot eat unless someone else has cooked. So the one who's cooking has actually kept you in the waiting stage. Now, there is a fantastic synchronization between you and the one who's cooking for you, right? Now, if you say, I will not wait for you, and you start eating some, you know, garbage, obviously you will die, right? But the one who's cooking, he says, wait till the cooking is completed. When the cooking is completed, they bring to you the food, they notify you, that khana ready hai. This is actually, they notify you. So they actually bring you in the start state from the waiting state. You are previously waiting for the food, but now food is here, and the one who cooked for you is going to notify you. जब हम कहते हैं ना खाना ready है, so they are kind of notifying us that your food is ready, and then you can start eating the food which is actually not the junk food. So you can eat it and also make sure that it is not dangerous for your health. So you know, this inter-thread communication is very much common in our practical life. Everywhere you will see that multiple threads are running, and they are kind of asking each other to notify each other to wait. Right. Hamad.
सर एक और एग्जांपल मैं इसमें ऐड कर सकता हूं सर?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
सर जैसे हम एक सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट की अगर बात करें सर, तो जब तक रिक्वायरमेंट इंजीनियर जब तक रिक्वायरमेंट्स नहीं लेगा या स्पेसिफिकेशन नहीं लेगा कस्टमर से, तब तक डेवलपर बैठा रहेगा। मतलब उसका उस वक्त तक कोई काम नहीं होगा जब तक वो रिक्वायरमेंट्स पूरी ना ले ले।
बिल्कुल सही।
जब वो रिक्वायरमेंट्स पूरी ले लेगा तो डेवलपर अपनी कोडिंग वगैरह ये डेवलपमेंट सारी शुरू करेगा।
बिल्कुल सही।
और जब जब सर डेवलपर अपना काम पूरा कर लेगा तब टेस्टर सर अपना काम स्टार्ट करेगा।
बिल्कुल सही।
तो तब तक टेस्टर रुका रहेगा। सर ये एक एग्जांपल इसमें आ सकती है सर।
जबरदस्त आपने कहा, एक्सीलेंट, थैंक यू वेरी मच Hamad for adding this example. I mean, you can see that there are all these guys which are independent, but they will have to wait for each other because their job is very much interlinked. Developer cannot start development unless a requirement engineer has gathered all the requirements. If this guy started working without understanding requirement, you know that he will be making a lot of mistakes, right? So in order to avoid these type of mistakes, you are right that we need inter-thread communication. Okay, then sir, kindly briefly describe the concept of inter-thread communication. I think you got the idea, Hatsa? Wait and notify. I think we have answered all the questions. Some of the questions I saw in the chat, like Arsalan says, sir, network problem कर रहा है, कभी कनेक्ट हो जाता है, कभी डिस्कनेक्ट हो जाता है. सर बहुत मसला हो रहा है नेटवर्क पे. Yeah, I wish I could do something in that case. Don't worry then. मैंने कहा ना कि जूम को अटेंड करना मैंडेटरी नहीं है. हम वीक में 3 बार जूम करते हैं, मैं, सर खालिद और सर आतिफ, और फिर जो भी रिकॉर्डिंग हो रही है हम रिकॉर्ड करके यूट्यूब पे भी रख लेते हैं. तो अगर आपको इंटरनेट का प्रॉब्लम है तो आप फोरम पे सवाल जरूर पोस्ट कर लें. आपको जब भी टाइम मिले फोरम पे अपना क्वेश्चन पोस्ट कर लें. व्हेन वी विल डू जूम we will answer your question and then keep the recording available on YouTube and LMS. So absolutely not required कि आप synchronous mode में हो. ये बिल्कुल जरूरी नहीं है कि जब हम Zoom पे हो तो आप भी available हो. इतना कोई बड़ा मसला नहीं है. हम समझते हैं कि यार किसी जगह पे we have got internet issues at some places, we have got load shedding problems. So we completely understand your situation. It is just that watch our videos, you will have questions. The way you ask question inside classroom कि सर इसका जवाब दे दें, इसका जवाब दे दें. अब ज़रा वो चीज़ में क्या फेस टू फेस पे है नहीं, so you can post those questions on the forum. And when I come online on every Friday, I will just refer the forum and answer questions from here. So absolutely not necessary that you always come for the Zoom session. I understand you will have problem, sometime internet issues, sometime load shedding, but use the forum to post questions. I think we have already answered all the questions from forum. If you have more questions, I open the forum to raise. अगर आपको कुछ और सवाल आते हैं तो अपने mic को unmute करके you can ask question. If you have question, you can unmute mic and then ask the question.
Excuse me, sir.
जी बेटा.
Sir, वो time slicing को थोड़ा define कर दें.
Very good. See. I think you are Kashish, huh? Sakshi.
No,
Sakshi.
sir, Sakshi.
Okay, Sakshi. Remember one thing. Some of the operating systems are time sliced, and some of the operating systems are priority based. Those operating systems which are time sliced, what they will do, they will give equal amount of time to each of the threads. If you have got 10 threads available in the start state, then each of the thread will be given equal amount of time for completing execution, right? ये हो सकता है कि पहले थ्रेड को 1 मिलीसेकंड मिले, फिर दूसरे थ्रेड को 1 मिलीसेकंड मिले, फिर तीसरे थ्रेड को 1 मिलीसेकंड मिले, और जब आखिरी थ्रेड हो जाए फिर वापस पहले को. So you can call it round robin fashion, right? So in this case, your processor has decided to give equal amount of time to each of the thread. It is absolutely not required that you give 1 millisecond and thread completes its execution. Thread might require more time. So in that case, you will kind of take the processor back from the thread, and thread will again go into the start state. When I say in the start state, I mean that thread is ready for execution, but the processor is not available, right? So in time slice, in round robin fashion from 1, 2, 3 up to 10, then come back to 1, 2, 3 up to 10, come back to 1, 2, 3. It is actually sharing the CPU time, right? But when this sharing mechanism is not available, when your operating system says I will give high priority to the high priority thread and low priority to the low priority thread. So in that case, your CPU says I will give importance to those threads which are high priority. It means कि जो priority 10 वाला thread है पहले वो execute होगा, फिर priority 9 वाला, फिर priority 8 वाला, फिर priority 5 वाला, और वो जो low priority thread है one with having one value, it will be executed in the end. And when a high priority thread is running, processor will not give time to low priority thread. लेकिन ये सारी discussion, it is related to the operating system. It depends on what are the policies of operating system. Some of the operating systems are, time sliced. They work in round robin fashion. Other operating systems, they honor priority, right? So obviously, those operating systems where priorities are given some honor, you can set priority. But on the operating system where priorities are not important, there even if you set priority 10, that does not guarantee that your process will execute or your thread will execute, right? So these concepts are more related to the operating system. When you will, I'm not sure if people are covering the operating system in this semester or next, but you will see that there is a scheduler. There is a scheduler, and all these decisions that which thread has to be executed, those are taken by the scheduler. And some of the schedulers follow this round robin time slicing fashion. Other schedulers follow priorities. Some schedulers are preemptive, other schedulers are non-preemptive. So all these concepts you will again encounter when you will be covering operating system in your degree program. Got the idea, Sakshi?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, beta. More questions?
सर
जी बेटा.
सर अगर हम एक क्लास बना रहे हैं और हम वो क्लास एक्सटेंड करें थ्रेड क्लास से और हम उसमें दो मेथड्स बना रहे हैं, एक रन का मेथड बना रहे हैं और एक स्टार्ट का, और अगर हम सर मेन मेथड से हम कॉल करें स्टार्ट मेथड, तो सर वो रन में जाएगा या वो स्टार्ट मेथड में जाएगा?
Kanchan, you cannot override start method. In fact, you don't need to override start method. Inside thread, whatever business logic you want to put inside thread, it has to go into run. And this is Java's mechanism. No? You have to call start method. जब आप start method कॉल करेंगे तो आपका थ्रेड चला जाएगा स्टार्ट स्टेट में. अच्छा, मैं कह रहा हूँ कि स्टार्ट स्टेट में चला जाएगा, एग्जीक्यूट नहीं होगा. उसका रीजन ये है कि मे बी एट दैट टाइम some other threads are running. It means your thread, when you call start method, will not immediately execute. It will go into the start state. Now, start state is a state where thread presents itself to the processor. Thread tells to the processor that I'm ready to execute. Please give me your time. Now, at that time, maybe processor is busy in other threads. So processor will say, wait for a minute. So your thread will still be in the start state. And when it is in the start state, it is doing nothing. It is actually kind of waiting in the queue for the CPU time. Now, when CPU gives it time, then your thread will move from a start state to the running state. And when it enters into the run state, it means at that time, it is executing run method of the thread, right? So, Kanchan, you don't need to override start method. You cannot override start method because you have to call start method on thread to call run method. When you call start method, your thread goes into the start state and then it will automatically go into the running state when CPU is giving you time. So any business logic, anything that you want thread to perform, it has to be kept inside a run method. You don't need to override start method. You cannot override start method. The reason is simple, because start method has been given a specific job, and that job is to start your thread. When I say start your thread, I mean presenting to the processor that this thread is ready for execution. And when thread says, okay, if you are ready for execution, I'm going to give you time. When processor give you time, then it will automatically move from start state to the running state. And when it is in the running state, at that time, run method is executing. तो ये बात ध्यान में रखें कि आप स्टार्ट को ना ओवरराइड कर सकती है ना आपको करना चाहिए, क्योंकि स्टार्ट मेथड रन मेथड के लिए एक इंटीमेशन है कि भाई आपको कॉल किया जाएगा। आपको रन मेथड को एक्सप्लिसिटली कॉल नहीं करना है, क्योंकि रन करना यानी कि प्रोसेसर का काम करना, और प्रोसेसर ये आपको करने नहीं देगा। प्रोसेसर कहेगा कि भाई मैं आपको टाइम दूंगा जब मेरे पास अवेलेबल होगा। अगर मेरे पास कुछ और थ्रेड्स है जो कि मैं चला रहा हूँ, एंड इफ आई डू नॉट हैव टाइम देन यू कैन नॉट डिक्टेट मी, वेट फॉर अ मोमेंट। यू कैन, अगर आपका थ्रेड रेडी है तो उसको यहाँ रख ले, जब मेरे पास टाइम होगा मैं उसको चलाऊंगा। तो ये प्रोसेसर इस तरह से चलता है ना। तो ये बात ध्यान में रख लें कि आपको स्टार्ट मेथड ओवरराइड नहीं करना है। By the way, that was a very, very good question. Very good question. Start is entry point, isn't it? Shoaib, no. I mean, start method मैंने अब तक जितने भी एग्जाम्पल्स आपको करवाए हैं, कहीं पर भी मैंने स्टार्ट मेथड को ओवरराइड नहीं किया, because you do not override start method. Why? Because start method has been given a dedicated role, and that role is when you think that your thread is ready to execute, you just call start method on that. You do not call run method on that, क्योंकि थ्रेड को रन करना आपका काम नहीं है। थ्रेड को रन करना प्रोग्रामर का काम नहीं है। प्रोग्रामर का काम है कि प्रोसेसर को बता दे कि ये थ्रेड रेडी है, और वो बताएगा कैसे? बाय कॉलिंग स्टार्ट मेथड। So when you call start method on a thread, your thread will actually be entered into the queue, a queue which is being continuously monitored by the processor. प्रोसेसर देख रहा है कि भाई कौन कौन से थ्रेड रेडी है एग्जीक्यूशन के लिए। तो जब आपने अपने थ्रेड को रेडी करके क्यू में रख लिया, दैट डजंट मीन कि आप इमीडिएटली कॉल हो जाएगा, नहीं। जब प्रोसेसर को टाइम मिलेगा तो वो उसको कॉल करेगा। तो एंट्री पॉइंट फॉर द थ्रेड इज नॉट स्टार्ट, द एंट्री पॉइंट इज रन मेथड। Whatever you write inside run method, that is what your thread will do. So when you call start method, implicitly your run method is actually called. Okay, Javera says multi-threading helps us to reduce idle timing so that other threads can run when first one is waiting. Here, sir, what does it mean by idle timing? But idle timing means, say for example, one thread is waiting for some input. ऐसा हो सकता है ना कि आपने एक प्रोग्राम लिखा, अब वो प्रोग्राम वेट कर रहा है कि यूजर इनपुट दे। अब जाहिर है उस टाइम पे प्रोसेसर बिल्कुल फारिग है, प्रोसेसर कुछ भी नहीं कर रहा है। उसने क्या किया कि उस थ्रेड को भाई एक स्टेटमेंट लिख ली, प्लीज एंटर योर नेम। अब जब आपने लिख लिया कि प्लीज एंटर योर नेम, अब जाहिर है जब तक यूजर एंटर नहीं करेगा अपना नाम, तो वो जो सीपीयू के साइकिल्स हैं वो वेस्ट हो रहे होंगे। बिल्कुल फारिग टाइम है सीपीयू के लिए। आइडल टाइम मींस फारिग टाइम है। So at that time CPU is doing nothing. It means you are actually wasting CPU time. So when you encounter such type of situation in which you envision that some of the threads will be wasting CPU time, so it's a good idea to use multi-threading, right? I'm just hopeful कि आपके प्रोजेक्ट के आइडियाज इतने अच्छे होंगे कि उसमें आप मल्टीपल काम पैरेलली कर रहे होंगे। So there you should be employing multi-threading. So multi-threading will actually make execution faster for your program, right? Okay, do we have more question? Akil, is there some file you are sending to me or what? Akil, do you have any question?
No, sir, no.
Okay. Ariba says if there is a thread which has priority 5 and one more thread enters with the same priority, then what will be the decision of CPU? Also, is it possible to have two threads having same priority? Very good question, Ariba. But see, as I told you earlier, some of the operating system are preemptive. When I'm saying preemptive, it means they can stop a running thread and give CPU time to another thread with a higher priority, right? अगर आपके ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम का शेड्यूलर ये चीज अलाउ करता है, if the scheduler of the operating system is preemptive, when I say preemptive, it means that your scheduler can stop a running thread, get the processor back from the running thread and give it to another thread which is with the higher priority. Then this will happen if your processor, if your thread is running and if another thread with high priority becomes ready, then scheduler, if it is preemptive, it will stop the currently running thread and give time to another thread. But if it is non-preemptive, which says no, I do not regard priorities, then in that case, the running thread will complete its execution and then a new thread will come. Remember, priorities matter in preemptive scheduling, and scheduling is completely related to the operating system. Programmer does not decide the scheduling mechanism of operating system. Scheduling mechanism is decided by the operating system, and we do not have really control on it. We set priority on the hope that scheduling is preemptive, so you have a high priority thread and you think that your thread will get CPU time as soon as you bring it into the start state. But that is not necessary because some of the operating systems are preemptive and others are non-preemptive. And yes, two threads can have same priority. And when two threads of same priority are ready, then round robin fashion will be followed, in which maybe 1 millisecond to first thread, then 1 millisecond to second thread, 1 millisecond to third thread, and then again 1 millisecond to first thread, 1 millisecond to second thread, 1 millisecond to third thread, and then again to first thread. So this is called round robin fashion, in which all the threads which are having equal priority and all of them are in the queue. So CPU might decide to follow round robin fashion, in which it is giving equal time slice to each of the thread so that they can further their execution. It may not be necessary that in 1 millisecond thread completes its execution, but it will actually be further by bit so that execution of all these threads can be completed. These all are the concepts of operating system. I'm sure you will encounter again when you will be learning operating system. Okay, do you have more questions, guys? Why CPU is in millisecond, not in nanosecond? Oh my God. I really don't know this answer. I don't know. I mean, Windows, they might work in nanoseconds, but I know only Java. In Java, when you sleep, whatever number you pass, that is millisecond. That is not nanosecond. How operating system deals with the time, I really don't know, because almost 100 years back, I studied operating system. So many of the operating system I really don't remember. I only know in Java, when you pass a number in the sleep, you pass in milliseconds. Because you need a protocol. You need a protocol between programmer and Java. So Java says the number that you pass, I will consider millisecond, right? And it says millisecond because it wants to give you better control. If it says seconds, then if you want to sleep for quarter of the second, you might need to write 0.25. That is more difficult than writing 250, right? So Java says I will give you an opportunity to work at the millisecond level. If you want nanosecond level, it will be further making things complicated. In preemptive scheduling, if we have same priority thread, Ariba, I think I answered this question. I said if all of them are having same priority, then round robin fashion will be followed. When I'm saying round robin fashion, I mean that each of the thread will be given a slice of the time, a window of the time, so that they can further their execution. Umair, you can ask question. You are raising hand.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, can we call start method inside a run method?
No, you cannot. You cannot. I mean,
okay, sir, thank you.
You can start another thread. You can start another thread from within one thread. In that case, you can call the start method another thread. But if you call start method on the current thread, you will be in trouble. Then it will run forever. But if you apply some chain, if you apply some check, then you can do it. But you need to understand what is the role of a start method. The role of the start method is to bring your thread in the start state which means that we are informing CPU that our thread is ready to execute. And when CPU has time, it will give processor, and then it will automatically go from started state to the running state. Okay, more questions? If you have, you can raise your hand, or you can write in the chat box, or you can straight away unmute your mic and you can ask question. I can see today Sharu is also online. Sharu, how are you?
Fine, sir.
You are online from, I believe, Balochistan, eh?
No, sir. Punjab, Rujhan Mazari, sir.
Okay.
Near Kashmir, sir.
Okay. Great.
बारिश हो रही है सर अच्छी खासी.
Acha, here in Sakhar, we had a very strong wind, but no barish.
Yes, sir.
Okay, guys, do you have more questions?
पेपर के हवाले से करना है सर.
हाँ, पूछ ले, बिल्कुल पूछ ले, मैं अवेलेबल हूँ.
चेक हो गया है सर? रिजल्ट कंपाइल हो गया सर?
यार रिजल्ट जैसे जैसे कंपाइल होता जाएगा ना, आप उसको देख पाएंगे. मैंने कुछ लोगों के एक दो क्वेश्चन चेक कर लिए, तो वो अपना देख सकते हैं, लेकिन मैंने अभी बहुत ही कम क्वेश्चन चेक किया ना. आई नीड लॉट ऑफ टाइम. और आजकल तो मैं ज़्यादा फोकस कर रहा था ज़रा ये मल्टी थ्रेडिंग को कंप्लीट करने में, और काफ़ी सारे और भी काम थे. तो अभी मैं बाकी रेस्ट अश्योर्ड बाय द मिड ऑफ नेक्स्ट वीक यू विल गेट योर मिड रिजल्ट. ये चीज़ श्योर है.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
sir. More questions if you have, guys. किसी ने ग्रेडिंग के ऊपर सवाल पूछा था कल. देखिए, ग्रेडिंग की 3 पॉसिबिलिटीज हैं. There are 3 possibilities in grading. The first possibility is whatever grade I give you, you will accept it. This is the first possibility. You say, okay, Dr. Sher has given me 2.8 GPA, and you happily accept it. Chapter close, right? That will contribute in your GPA. अगर ये आप ले रहे हैं GPA. अच्छा, दूसरी पॉसिबिलिटी ये है कि I have given you F. You can't do anything. If I give you F, you cannot improve your grade because you have got F. In that case, this F will not contribute to your GPA. Your GPA will not go down. Your GPA will not be affected by the F that you secure in this spring 2020 semester. This is point number 2. Point number 3, if I have given you a grade which is not F, if you do not accept, then I will give you grade I, which is incomplete. It means that now when you come to the campus, you will say, I do not agree with Dr. Sher's assessment, so I want to improve my grade. If you want to improve your grade, whatever grade I have given you, that will be counted 60%, and remaining 40% you can come and face-to-face improve your grade. So say for example, I have given you 2.2 GPA, which is say for example, I think 2.2 is 67%. So out of 60, you will get 67%, which is roughly around 43 or 44 marks, and remaining 40 marks you can improve. So remaining 40 marks, if you say when you come face to face, if you have secured 40 out of 40, so your end of the day score will be 83, not 67, which I gave you earlier, because you came and you improved. So now your new grade will be 83. So this is a third chance where you can improve your grade by reappearing in the 40% of the final exam. Simple है, कोई इतना complicated नहीं है. ये हम we just want that this time if you secure any F, it should not affect your GPA. Point number 2, if you agree with the teacher's grade, go ahead, you will get the grade. Third point is, if you do not agree with the teacher's assessment, then you can improve your grade on the 40%, not all, but 40%. Okay, so if you have any other question, I can answer. Otherwise, we can stop today's session. I understand कि आपका इंटरनेट का भी ये काफी ज़्यादा bandwidth लेता है. सर आप इस वीक क्विज लेंगे? वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन बेटा. यस, टुमारो विल बी द क्विज.
सर कल हमारा लैब भी है सर.
हाँ सर.
सर लैब भी है और
कल
सर
लैब है
हमारा
सर, मेहरबानी करें सर।
कैलकुलस का भी पेपर है, क्विज है सर.
फिर मंडे को लें.
यस सर, मंडे को ले लें.
चलें, ठीक है.
सर मंडे सही रहेगा।
ठीक है,
मंडे
ठीक,
सही है सर.
ठीक है. ओके, मंडे 5 to 5:30 will be your quiz from Multi Threading.
यस सर.
ठीक है ना?
एग्री सर.
Hamad,
Yes, sir.
you will update this information on WhatsApp. So
Yes, sir.
those who could not attend, they should also know that from multi-threading chapter, we will have quiz on Monday from 5 to 5:30.
यस सर.
ठीक है ना? वैसे बेटा
Okay,
एक बात मुझे बताएं. मुझे पता चला है कि कुछ बच्चों ने मिड एग्जाम में इम्पर्सनेशन की है. ये सही बात है?
पता नहीं सर, जिन्होंने की होगी उन्हें पता होगा.
यार ये यकीन करें, मेरा इंसानियत से ना विश्वास उठ जाएगा अगर किसी ने ये किया हो तो.
ये तो है सर, बिल्कुल.
एक मैं जोक बता रहा हूँ, फिर हम ये एंड करेंगे. एक चोर था, वो गया चोरी करने ना किसी के घर पे. तो वो जब चोरी करके अभी पहुंचा ही था उस बॉक्स के ऊपर जिसको उसको तोड़ना था, तो उसके ऊपर ना मैसेज लिखा हुआ था कि चोर भाई मेहरबानी करके बॉक्स को तोड़ो नहीं. ये बॉक्स काफ़ी कीमती है, इसके अंदर काफ़ी सारा सोना पड़ा हुआ है. ये जो एक रेड बटन है उसको क्लिक करोगे तो बॉक्स खुल जाएगा, सोना लेके निकल जाओ, बॉक्स को नहीं तोड़ो. तो चोर ने कहा अच्छी बात है यार, ये तो बहुत अच्छे लोग हैं. तो उसने ना उस रेड बटन को क्लिक किया तो एकदम से सायरन बजना शुरू हो गया. वाह वाह वाह, पुलिस आ गई, चोर को पकड़ के ले गई. जब चोर को पकड़ के जा रहे थे तो उस टाइम पे चोर ने, वो जो मालिकान ने, उनकी तरफ देख के बोला, कहने लगा कि आज मेरा ना इंसानियत से विश्वास उठ गया है, और तुम लोगों ने इतना बड़ा मेरे साथ धोखा किया. तो प्लीज ये नहीं कीजिएगा. आई रियली लव यू ऑल. मैं चाह रहा हूँ कि अच्छे से अच्छा आप लोगों को पढ़ाऊँ, लेकिन एट द सेम टाइम आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग कि यू विल बी ऑब्जर्विंग एथिकल वैल्यू. आप मुझे चीट
Yes,
नहीं
sir.
करोगे, ये नहीं करना यार. यकीन करें मैं दिल से पढ़ा रहा हूँ और हम बाकी टीचर दिल से पढ़ा रहे हैं, लेकिन अगर आप लोगों ने हमारे साथ ये किया ना, यकीन करें वी विल बी एक्सट्रीमली हर्ट. तो प्लीज
यस सर.
वी आर ट्रस्टिंग ऑन यू. मैंने आपको ये नहीं कहा कि आप अपना कैमरा खोल के बैठो और आप खुद लॉग इन करो या इस तरह की चीजें मैंने नहीं की ना. आई जस्ट रिलाइड ऑन यू गाइस. आई सेड here the assignment, you've got 2 hours and just complete the assignment with the hope that all of you will be doing your own work. But if you do not do that, obviously I will have no place to hide.
यस सर.
चले बेटा, with that words I end this session.
सर एक और सवाल था सर
जी, जी.
प्रोजेक्ट के लिहाज से. सर हमने अभी तक फाइलिंग या जेडीबीसी वगैरह नहीं पढ़ी ना, तो सर हम जो प्रोजेक्ट बनाएंगे सर उसकी फाइल्स वगैरह अगर हम फाइलिंग अगर करना चाहें या जीयूआई पे करना चाहें तो हम सर कर सकते हैं?
बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं यार. मैंने लिखा हुआ है ना ब्रीफ के अंदर, मैंने प्रोजेक्ट
सर
ब्रीफ
वहाँ तो
में.
सर मल्टी थ्रेडिंग तक था ना सर?
नहीं, मैंने उसमें वैसे लिखा हुआ है प्रोजेक्ट ब्रीफ में कि कुछ ऐसी चीजें हैं जो कि हम फ्यूचर में पढ़ेंगे लेकिन आपको प्रोजेक्ट में यूज करनी पड़ेंगी. तो मैं
Yes, sir.
I'm expecting कि whatever you require in your project you will be reading in advance. Even in some cases अगर आपको से भाई सर्वलेट्स पढ़ने पड़े, जेडीबीसी या मे बी जेएसपी पढ़ना पड़े, जो कि हम इस कोर्स में कभी भी नहीं पढ़ेंगे, अगर आप वो भी एडवांस में पढ़ के अप्लाई कर रहे हो तो आई विल बी वेरी हैप्पी. So remember, all the things that you will be needing in the project, I may or may not have covered as of now. But if you need, you have to read in advance. And reading JDBC, reading filing is not very difficult if you know classes, if you know methods. एक बात ध्यान में रख लें, जावा में ये बात अच्छी है कि कोई भी, देखिए ना अब क्या है, आपने जावा का बेसिक पढ़ लिया है, अब आगे सिर्फ क्या है, अगर आपको जेडीबीसी पढ़नी है तो 3-4 क्लासेस होंगी, उनके अंदर मेथड्स होंगे, वो आपको बताएंगे कि इनका काम क्या है. अगर आपको नेटवर्किंग पढ़नी है जैसे कि सॉकेट प्रोग्रामिंग, कुछ क्लासेस हैं, कुछ मेथड्स हैं, वो आपको समझने. तो इफ यू आर क्लियर विद द जावा क्लासेस एंड मेथड्स, you can read any API. It is just matter of 1-2 hours. You should be able to understand all the concepts, right? So yes,
Yes,
in projects sometimes you will be requiring to read things in advance which we may or may not have covered up to this point. चले बेटा, थैंक यू वेरी
सर
मच।
फिर वो हम सारी अपनी डॉक्यूमेंटेशन में सर फिर इन चीजों का जिक्र सारा करेंगे सर।
बिल्कुल करेंगे, बिल्कुल करेंगे।
यस
बिल्कुल, ठीक है ना।
ठीक है
वैसे प्रोजेक्ट की सबमिशन कब है, प्रपोजल की?
सर। प्रपोजल जो डॉक्यूमेंटेशन है सर वो 13 जून है
ओके
आई गेस सर।
ओके ओके ओके।
वैसे बहुत जल्दी है अगर ये सारी चीजें अगर हम कवर करें GUI वगैरह तो सर
बेटा होगा।
वैसे।
अब आपको पता है काफी टाइम आपको मिला है
Yes, sir.
क्योंकि ईद से भी पहले मैंने दिया था।
Yes, sir.
चले, थैंक यू बेटा। इफ यू डू नॉट
Thank
हैव
you,
एनी
sir.
क्वेश्चन तो आई एम एंडिंग द सेशन हियर and good luck
Yes, sir.
for your tomorrow leave and good luck for your calculus paper. Our
Thank you,
next
sir.
activity will be on Monday, which will be quiz from the multi-threading chapter. I expect कि जो मैंने YouTube पे वीडियो अपलोड कर ली हैं related to multi-threading will be reading there. Thank you very much बेटा।
Thank you, sir. Allah Hafiz.